You know, it was funny. I was at a conference where Teaminvest had a stand. And I was there and I was speaking to people, and somebody had walked past and they saw our returns advertised, and he made a wise crack at us and said, "Oh, you think you're taking those type of returns? You must be taking some serious risks." I was like, "Well, I know that we're actually managing our risks.
Yeah.
We're actually reducing the risk by understanding these businesses really well." What he actually missed was it was the membership. Yes, I am doing it myself. I'm participating with the membership. I give them the insights into what I know, like we do on the podcast.
Yeah.
But they're also giving me so much insight. So
Yeah.
everyone's doing it with each other. So that membership where you're actually communicating and understanding things from each other, that is the value add.
Welcome to the Teaminvest Wealth Builder podcast, where we help you build smarter wealth and make more confident investment decisions. Welcome to this week's episode of Teaminvest Wealth Builders podcast. With me today, I have Sanjay Narendran, who is Teaminvest's Head of Funds Management and Education. We've been visiting a number of conferences and we speak to a number of people about Teaminvest. And one of the biggest questions we get is, what actually is Teaminvest? So I'm going to spend some time with Sanjay today and we're just going to discuss what Teaminvest actually is. So welcome, Sanjay.
Hi, Kerry.
So let's start off from there.
Yeah.
What is Teaminvest?
It's sometimes hard to describe because initially you want to give them a 20-second elevator pitch, right? And say, okay, what is Teaminvest? And you quickly jump up to Teaminvest is a membership organization that looks to invest in the best companies. But it really doesn't capture what Teaminvest actually is.
Okay.
Teaminvest is so much more than just a group of people trying to look at finding the best companies, because you've got that on message boards and chats and things like that. They're all over the place on social media.
Yeah.
Where groups of people look and try and identify the best businesses. But what we do is actually quite special. And maybe the best way to explain it is, I always find it's easier when I've got the time, like I do now, to go through a bit of the history and say, how did Teaminvest get here and why is it so special?
So let's do that. Let's start at the beginning. So why was Teaminvest started originally?
Well, really, it started with Dr. John Price. He was a academic. He was the head of mathematical finance at New South Wales University. And I'd had dinner with him not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and he was explaining how it all started, because he was never interested in finance. He was purely mathematical.
Right.
Very much interested in different maths and the intriguing parts of how different formulas come about and things like that. He was looking into the Black-Scholes method some time ago when that all came out, of option valuations and things like that.
Okay.
Which started to earn him a bit of a reputation, and then people start to ask him finance questions, and it was more his curiosity into the mathematical and the research behind the maths that goes along with finance that got him digging.
Okay. And where did his dig start?
So as he was digging and looking into the markets and looking at performance of the markets, he started looking into why some people outperform the markets and other people don't. And he ended up looking at a research paper by David Draymond, with a research assistant, Barry, that was looking at analyst forecasts.
Okay.
And he was able to say, and I think people have heard us quote this many times, but 80% of analyst forecasts are materially wrong, even if it's just one quarter ahead.
Which is a scary probability, right?
It is. Because if you think about it, you can flip a coin and still get a 50-50 odds. So how do you get it wrong so much of the time?
Yeah.
And when he looked into the data, he was able to separate out the categories of the businesses and the underlying data into saying businesses that are volatile in their profitability and earnings over a period of time of 5 years or so,
Yeah.
they're going to be much harder to predict. Whereas a business that's been stable, it's had a stable growth or a stable return over that same period, it's much more likely that you're going to be able to predict what that's going to do in the next 90 days, or even if it's a year ahead or 5 years ahead.
And I'm guessing that that's because he could see some underlying commonalities between those companies.
Yes, that's right. Because I mean, when something is stable, it's like trying to predict the weather. If you're out in the desert and you're trying to predict the chances of rain, you know it's pretty low,
Yeah.
right? Whereas you could go in somewhere that's a lot more tropical, and then Sydney or Melbourne,
Maybe just in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
where the weather is so much more volatile, and say, okay, in 90 days time, what is the weather going to be? Or a year ahead, what is the weather going to be? It's way too hard to try and predict that.
Yeah.
It's too volatile. So if we take volatility out of it, and you might not be able to measure volatility of sentiment so easily, but you can measure the volatility of its profits, because every year the companies keep reporting on their profits and their earnings. And if you look at it and say, this is a company that's been profitable, it's been consistently profitable, or it's been having a steady growth, then being able to make a forecast on that is much more likely.
Okay.
So in his infinite wisdom, he turned around and said, well, I don't need to own every company out there. I just need a handful that I can make stable predictions on.
Right. So he really kind of flipped it, didn't he?
Well, he did. It was about eliminating at that point. It was about eliminating companies rather than trying to find the best ones.
Yeah.
And then he took that further to say, okay, now that I know that this is a stable company and this is the likely outcome, it could be a steady decline of profits. It could be a steady profits where they don't change year on year. But really, what's the best indicators of a company that's going to be a wealth winner for me in the next 5 years? It's something that's going to grow, and it's growing its profits, and it's growing its profits at a steady rate. So based on that, he started looking at, okay, what companies are there that can grow at this steady rate? And let me find reasons where companies underperform, or that formula changes. What are the circumstances where those things change? And if a company has a significant amount of debt, the situation can change very quickly.
Right.
If a company has management that make erratic decisions and large purchases and huge changes in the business's landscape, those situations change very quickly.
So it's almost like a volatility in management, isn't it?
It is. So he's using those excuses to knock out those companies as well, and just leave himself with a handful of companies that have been steady in their profits. They've been growing at a steady rate, that have solid management and a proven track record.
Yeah.
And that's what they can invest in. So that's really the research that started it.
Okay.
Now, when Howard Coleman had landed in Australia, and he was semi-retired at the time, and he was looking for ways to invest at a much better rate than what his financial planner was able to get him. And he happened to meet Dr. John Price. He really loved that methodology. He loved to understand it. But what he thought was, there is something more that we should do here, because yes, statistically and mathematically, we've got now the best pool of companies, but I wouldn't be comfortable investing in something if I didn't understand it and if it wasn't in my circle of competence.
Because at this point, really, we've just looked at the numbers, haven't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's try and understand the business a lot better. Let's understand the industry that that business is in, and what makes that business perform so great. And is that likely to continue for the next 5 to 10 years? Because it's great to have the data side of it and the research and the mathematics side of it, But if we can add some human knowledge on top of that, that makes it so much better. Now, Howard's come from a business background, so he has quite a wealth of knowledge around these things.
Yeah.
But even in his core competencies, it may not extend to certain other industries. So if he calls up a few friends in different industries when he's looking at those type of companies and asks them, what do you know about this? Can you explain how this industry works? Is there something that this business does better than their competitors? And then he starts to learn. He starts to expand his circle of competence, expand his understanding of the businesses and their industry. And then he gets to a stage where he's comfortable in making a decision because he's got to understand it.
So ultimately, we've taken it, we've gone through the numbers, we've kind of whittled it down to the companies that we want to look at that have stability, and it's stability in their earnings and consistent growth in their earnings. We've then gone, okay, we have that whole business mindset and understanding business in general that we can apply. But then we've gone another layer down and we've gone, okay, how do we really understand those individual industries and really finding specialists in those particular industries?
And that's the magic of Teaminvest.
Yeah.
So that's where the membership have come in. You know, it started off around coffee tables and around a cafe.
As everything good does, right?
Exactly. And then they decide, okay, now let's take out a room for the day and let's just all have a look at this. Starts expanding. And now we're sitting at 600 strong members across the country. All of them have such deep experiences. They've had industry experience in almost every industry that we cover. You've got people that are in government, people that are in medicine, people that are in science and research, academics. You've got people that are auditors that'll be able to translate an audit report for you and help you understand how an auditor, what they let the company do and what they don't let the company do in their annual reports and why they have to account for them that way. So that really helps everybody in that group expand their own circle of competence and understand the businesses they want to invest in a lot better.
And that's the magic of it, isn't it?
That's right. I mean, you wouldn't see that anywhere else in the industry.
Yeah.
So you can have analysts that look at companies and they look at understanding that industry, but think about the qualifications and the experience of that analyst. They may have studied on, usually they come through straight out of uni studying to be an analyst. They research how to write reports and how to analyze the numbers and understand the accounting side of it.
Yep.
They might even understand, especially in the resource side, they have more specific knowledge in the resources and those kind of things. And then they're trying to make forecast and they're trying to put a lot of data into that report. But how much better is the analyst when they've got a deep insight of the business of that company that they're writing that report about?
Yeah.
They can ask a CEO a question and CEOs are going to give them the CEO answer. But if the CEO is investing alongside them and really tries to explain to them, they take a whole day out to sit there and explain, what is this business about? Where does the real money come from? And you do that for every company that you're trying to invest in. Find out from a person that has experience of the running businesses like that.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, these are the challenges of this type of business. This is how we hit those challenges. This is how we improve it. This is how we're trying to grow the business. And these are our paths forward. These are our risks. Understanding it all.
Yeah.
It's a much, much deeper level of insight that you get there.
It's understanding those nuances of every business that you can really only understand if you've been working in that industry for 20, 30 years. That's when you've picked up all of those rocks and you've seen what's underneath.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. We spoke to a chief operating officer recently of one of the companies we covered. He came and spoke to our members and we had that insight from them directly. And I posed the question to him as, what is the risk that might keep you up at night? And what I wasn't expecting is the answer that he gave was, it's inventory management. managing your inventory and ensuring you have enough stock but not too much stock is something that is a very fine balancing act. And you've got to really stay on top of it. If you take on too much stock, then you're stuffed. If you don't have enough stock, you've got problems the other side as well.
Yeah.
So it's understanding what in that industry is the real pain points. Now, what have they done about it and how do they do it? We get to ask them and we get that deep insight.
Yeah.
How do they manage those risks that other competitors of theirs would lose sleep over?
Yeah. And it's really spending that time also building up that relationship, because I mean, you can go to like an annual meeting and all of those things. But as we know, anybody that's talking on behalf of a company has been trained in media. They know what they can, what they can't say, what are the right things to say, and what are the right things to get the outcomes that they want.
Yes.
But once you've built up those relationships, which when we have people in the business, in the know, and then when we have the CEOs and the people, like you said, the chief operating officers come and speak to our members, we've got that relationship built there, which lends a bit of transparency, in all honesty.
Yeah, that's right. And you not only hear it from the CEO of the company whose job it is, or the employees of the company whose job it is to go out and only talk positive about the company.
Yeah.
They don't want to go out and start talking negatively about the company in any sort of public forum. And if they did feel negative about it, you'd hope they didn't work there, right? So what we do get is, in addition to that, a number of people that can validate those answers.
Yeah.
The people in the crowd that are listening then share their thoughts and responses and their experiences to saying, okay, when I was running a business like this, and there are members in the organization that would look at a business and say, I used to run this business, right? I used to run their competitor. And this is what I know about the industry.
Yeah.
This is what I know is what makes this business special. This is where what the CEO says, this is how it translates for us. Because they not only understand our principles and the data and the information that goes into looking at great businesses, they've experienced it. They've got that life experience of doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And that is the real value of Teaminvest. The data is extremely valuable, don't get me wrong, and that base, because without that, we're kind of scrambling.
We've got to start somewhere. Right?
That's right. So that forms a solid foundation for us to build on.
Yeah.
But the real value add is that insight into the membership. They're the value to us.
Yeah.
Following the incredible success of our standout event in Sydney earlier this year, we would like to extend a warm invitation for you to attend the Emerging Wealth Winners Conference, Melbourne 2025. This event will be held in the iconic MCG Members Dining Room. We're bringing together a standout lineup of only 7 curated ASX-listed CEOs to present the insights, the knowledge, the shared wisdom, and the strategies that help inform investors making wiser decisions on when and where to invest into. This event is sure to be jam-packed, full of the knowledge and the wisdom that you're seeking, and we encourage you to register at tipgroup.com.au. Check out the events page, and we look forward to seeing you there.
You know, it was funny. I was at a conference where Teaminvest had a stand. And I was there and I was speaking to people, and it wasn't an investment conference. It was just, and it was something a little bit different. And somebody had walked past and they saw our returns advertised that Conscious Investor was able to give 18.39% over the last 24 years. And he made a wisecrack at us and said, oh, you think you're taking those type of returns? You must be taking some serious risks. I was like, well, you know, I know that we're actually managing our risks. Yeah. We're actually reducing the risk by understanding these businesses really well. And I explained that to him and said, well, actually, we're trying to eliminate risk. We find other ways to manage our risk rather than just investing in every company and following every trend. And he says, well, if you were that good, you'd be doing it yourself. You wouldn't be here trying to get others to do it for you, right? Or pay you to do it or something along those lines. And he walked off, and it's okay. Some people will have those type of views. But what he actually missed was it was the membership. Yes, I am doing it myself. I'm participating with the membership. I give them the insights into what I know, like we do on the podcast.
Yeah.
But they're also giving me so much insight.
Yeah.
So everyone's doing it with each other. So that membership where you're actually communicating and understanding things from each other, that is the value add. That's why it's unlike those people that says, I've got a secret formula that'll make you millions and jump on this, and you try and sell that formula to everybody else. Because this is not it. You need those other people together to make what we do really work.
It's actually the people that are the secret formula.
It is absolutely in people.
And you reminded me of a quote that Warren Buffett, I think, says, that talks about that the biggest risk is actually not understanding what you're investing in.
Yes.
And that's something that we definitely, pride is probably the wrong word, but that's something that we focus on, really understanding what we're investing in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know from my personal experience when I'm investing with the members, there are still areas and industries that I'm not fully comfortable with. Some medical companies I do understand, and I can understand them to an extent that I'm happy to invest in them because I understand the business aspects of it when that gets translated. But there are others that a little bit out of my scope. So I'm still spending some more time understanding those businesses, still asking more questions about those industries, working out why those businesses are really as valuable as some people may think. So, but I know that there's a group of members that do understand that industry very well.
Yep.
And they invest quite well in that. Me, it's just too early for me. So I'm just going to hold back, wait. And then when I get a bit more comfortable in understanding that industry or the business and the economics of that industry, that's when I'll start to make my investment decisions.
And I think that's the brilliant way around how Teaminvest works. Where the gentleman that you gave the example of missed the point where he said, why would I get you to do it for me? That's the thing. We're not forcing people to invest in anything in particular.
No.
It's an education piece. We're all working together. And as you mentioned, you don't have to invest in all of the companies that we look at. It's up to you when you feel comfortable investing and what you feel you understand. And when you're ready to invest in that company and the company's at a right price, all of those things, then great, you can go ahead. But you always maintain that control of your investment.
Yeah, that's right. And if you think about the companies that we do invest in and the leadership and the management that run them, and you'd have to think a lot of our members of the same caliber of these leadership and management team. These type of people that we have as members, the people that will naturally want to be part of this Teaminvest membership organization where they're sharing their wisdom, they know that they can't just follow the herd.
Yeah.
These companies have got to where they've got to. They've done really, really well, not just by following the herd and taking typical advice. They know exactly what to do, how to do it. They keep doing it again and again and improving on it and making it gradually bigger and bigger and bigger, one step at a time, and not just going out and saying, okay, this is how everybody else does it. Let's go out and do this.
Yep.
Let's go chase our share price or start doing a bunch of acquisitions because the market's asking for it and that looks favorable. Or we're going to expand our client numbers without worrying about profitability because that looks, interesting, or do huge capital raisings because the brokers love that. They know what they do really well.
Yeah.
They understand their circle of competence and they keep growing in the same way our members do, which is why over the long term, our members have been members for 17 years we've been running, and some of the original members are still around.
Yeah.
um, keeping this going, and I'd love to be here at my retirement, still doing the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've spoken about the sharing of knowledge and all of that. How do we practically do that? When you're a Teaminvest member, how do we practically share all of our knowledge?
Well, the way that um, the data works, and the conscious investor, and what John Price had created, that builds that foundation as we talked about.
So conscious investor being the filtering system that John set up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that narrows down the companies for us to look at.
Yeah.
Then when the members get together, we need to physically meet up. And people always ask me, why do we physically meet up? Why don't we just go on a Zoom call or do it on online sessions? And saying, well, if we did an online session, it'll be very one way.
Yeah.
And if you've been on a Zoom call with 100, 200, 300 people, you see that those kind of calls tends to be a presenter presenting that information. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
You want to hear not just from me, but you want to hear from the other people in the room. And you don't get that unless you're actually sitting in a room with people having that discussion. Now, the structure of the day, what even some members don't realize, is all of that has been thought out as well. And so there is a structure that goes through the day. Then we do having a SMART at the end, which is our version of a due diligence that we do when we're analyzing a company. It's a deep dive. Every part of that SMART process has been researched, and we continually research that process and the effectiveness of that process, and we keep trying to build on that and make that better, and for us to get better results. So we're constantly looking at that and saying, okay, if we look at this at the beginning of the day, this is what we're looking at at lunch or before lunch. We get people to do their own presentations. We call them pre-smarts or smart reviews and things like that.
Yeah.
Because when they do that, they go off on their own or with a couple of people, get together, and they do their deep analysis and they look at things individually, and then they come back and present it to the group. That is for their learning.
Yeah.
That is not only for everybody else to find it valuable in understanding it, but when members are going out and doing it themselves, it's extremely valuable. I mean, we have facilitators, but we don't have lecturers or teachers or anything like that.
Yeah.
The facilitators are members. We just make sure that a certain structure of the meeting follows. But all that information comes through from the members. I can sit up and be a facilitator on a company that I don't really know, because the members know a lot more than I do. And it's not like a student's knowing more than a teacher. I'm not here to teach them.
Yeah.
I'm also here to learn from them as much as they're here to learn from me. So we can work through something together as a group and get that much deeper insight into what's happening in that business.
Yeah, it comes back again to that sharing of knowledge, right?
Exactly.
And the meetings that you're talking about, we do those once a month. So we do those on a very regular basis.
Yes.
Across multiple cities now.
That's right.
We've even stepped into New Zealand now, so we can say multiple countries as well.
Yes, we've got now New Zealand doing masterclasses. We've had members in New Zealand for a long time, actually, but they've now got together and said, no, we want to have the masterclasses as like you do over in Australia. So we're getting over there to do masterclasses in New Zealand. There's a group of members up in Townsville that said, hey, it's a bit long to travel to Brisbane. Can you come up here? So we've opened a new one in Townsville. We're looking at Geelong and some of the more satellite cities, because a lot of people around those areas are saying, well, I know a lot of people in different industries that want to discuss these type of things, and we want to get that deeper insight. So, it's a long drive going to the city. We want to be outside in the comfort of our own places.
Yeah.
So we're getting out there and expanding the membership there. So we've seen over the last year the membership grow. There was probably just over 600 about a year ago.
Yep.
We're probably closer to 650 now.
Great.
And I'm sure we'll see a lot more growth as more and more members are looking to join now.
Absolutely. And look, we set these days up, like you said, by design. We have that element of the education piece around investing. I know there's a couple that I've been to that they've talked about AI and the effect that that will have on investing. So there is an education aspect to it. Then we also have members, as you've said, that go out that are experts in particular industries that might investigate or do their own due diligence on a company and come back and share it with us. Or we do a due diligence, a SMART, as you mentioned, that expands right across a company, and everybody in the audience will actually, well, I shouldn't say audience, should I?
No.
Everybody as part of that membership that's in that meeting will participate in
Yes.
that SMART. And it's an amazing place to just be a part of that meeting and hear the expertise and the wisdom that people have. You just can't underestimate the things that people have experienced and what they can add to your circle of competence.
Yeah. Just s- as an example of how we go about even just the finer points, we try and reduce the noise, reduce, the uncomfortable situations in the room where people can have a lot more relaxed discussion. I remember being in a meeting in a venue that had been having a masterclass in that same venue for so many years. And initially that was probably the best hotel or the best venue around. But things had changed so much, but they were so used to meeting up in that spot. Sitting there on a hot summer day, and the aircon wasn't working, and there was a huge amount of sunlight coming through. Everyone's feeling hot and bothered and agitated. That's not good for your decision making.
No.
It's not good for your discussions, so you want to reduce the noise. So all of that, even that part of it, we follow the research, we follow the principles of reducing the noise, creating that environment where people are sharing their information, sharing their knowledge and their expertise. And people now they prepare for the master classes,
Yeah.
they do a little bit of homework. It doesn't take a long time. For us, we're living it, so we do it quite a lot, right? But the members really, if you ask how much time does a member spend on their investment? One day a week or one day a month at a meeting, and maybe a couple of hours a week, if that.
Yeah.
And that's as much time as it takes. But if they want to spend more, they do.
It can.
And if they don't want to, they play golf.
And that's why you become a good investor, right?
Exactly.
So you have the opportunity to do those things that you want to do.
I speak to members all the time. It's like, oh, I'm going fishing. I'm going on the boat over here, or I'm playing golf this weekend, or I'm traveling over there. And they have great lives.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
But for me, I'm doing it on a daily basis. I do more than one masterclass a month. This is our job. So this is what we do. And I enjoy it.
Absolutely.
It's about putting in as much time as you want. It doesn't have to be overly onerous.
Yeah.
It's so much information that comes out of that one day, and it's not overwhelming. Maybe the first few times it becomes overwhelming because when you're first introduced to it. But then when you start to understand that process, it's so relaxed.
Yeah.
And you can just sit there and let management make money for you. Let the management of the companies that you're invested in do the hard work, and we'll just pick and choose which ones we want to back.
Yeah. And I think the two big things that our members do get out of the Teaminvest and the way it's set up is one, the cutting out the noise. Yes, you mentioned that we also cut out the noise to create an environment where people are comfortable to share. We don't want an environment where everybody thinks the same because that defeats the purpose, but we want a safe environment where people can share their opinions, what they've learned, their experience.
Yeah.
But also we cut through the noise because there is so much noise that is going on in the news, in the media. How do you figure out what you need to know and what you don't need to know, what's important, what isn't important? And we create a space where we can get rid of all of that noise and go, okay, let's focus in on this is the important piece. Whether that be through the software that we use, the Conscious Investor software, or whether that be through the meetings and with the membership and having somebody that's the expert in that field, being able to say, hey, this is important, that actually isn't important, that's noise.
And in that process, what you end up doing is creating an investment plan for yourself. So you know which companies you like, you know which companies you want to be invested in, you know what prices you want to enter in at. You also know what are the risks, if any of these risks trigger that I want to be out of this business or I want to rethink my investments or whatever it is, you have that plan already in place.
Yeah.
So when things happen, tariffs, pandemics, or you name it, whatever it is, we've thought about it beforehand. Maybe not in the specific terms.
Yeah.
Sometimes specifically we've thought about it, but sometimes just in the general sense. If there's a supply chain shortage or if there's a disruption to travel or something like that, how does that impact this business? And by doing that, we've got this investment plan and we can just follow the plan really comfortably at home, very little effort because you're not worried about all of this stuff. When things happen, you just say, "Oh yeah, I knew when that's going to happen, then this is what I was going to do," and you pull the trigger on it.
And that peace of mind, like that is just worth so much, right?
much more.
Especially these days.
Absolutely.
And I think the other thing that I've heard from a lot of people, either memberships or people that I've met at conferences where we've been talking about Teaminvest, is it's lonely investing on your own.
It is.
And this provides somewhere where people can come along. You've got people that are of, we're there for the same purpose,
Absolutely.
and we can do this together.
Absolutely. And what you really want is people that think a little bit deeper, people that want to learn, people that want to understand and scratch the surface. And there's a lot of people that it's not there for. Like the guy I met at the conference, that he doesn't want to do it. That's fine, not a problem. But if you do want to think a bit deeper, if you do want to understand things a little bit better, and then this is the type of environment for them.
Yeah.
If not, then there's plenty of options out there for other people that don't want to have to do the work.
Yep.
Which is why we also have funds. Our funds are basically all the work the members put in. We use that and we invest in all the same companies, doing exactly what the members do, but we do it on behalf of everybody else.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it yourself, that's where your best returns are going to be.
Absolutely. And ultimately, the funds were set up for members that had been members for a long period of time. And then either through sickness or other things that are happening within their families, they didn't have the ability to keep doing it themselves, but they wanted to continue to follow the Teaminvest process. So that was where we originally set up the funds to be able to facilitate that.
Absolutely.
But people now have the opportunity to invest straight into these funds. We've now opened it up to the public,
Yes.
so people can actually take advantage. So if you are somebody that wants to, would love to be a part of Teaminvest and love what we're talking about, but don't have the time to be able to do these meetings, that sort of thing, then you can still take advantage.
Yeah, and a lot of younger people that are still full in their career and they've got a lot in their day jobs and families and a lot of things going on. They don't quite have that time and the luxury to take a day out a month or do their investment research. The funds are a great way to participate because not only are you invested and your money is growing with the funds alongside the rest of the membership, what you get is that communication back from us about what we do, those education pieces. We do more of these type of podcasts that you get access to. You get more newsletters, those type of things where we'll start to include you more in that knowledge base. So when you do have time, absolutely, I encourage people take the money back out of the fund and invest it yourself
Yeah.
when you've got the time to do it, because that's where you're going to get your best returns.
Absolutely. And that's where the compounding that we always allude to comes into place.
That's right.
You can compound your wealth, but you can also compound your education.
Yes,
And they're going to give you the best outcomes.
absolutely.
So I think at this point, it's probably a good chance to say, who are we not for?
Well, there's not many people that we're not for. It's really, if you want to do it yourself, participate and apply for membership. And if you don't want to do it yourself and let somebody else do it for you, go ahead and do that. But if you're trying to be speculative, if you want to be the one at the pub that's talking about the latest stuff that's always changing and what's happening over here and there, they might be interesting discussions, but that's not what we do.
Yeah.
We look for actual researched, sustainable growth in our profits, not just in the companies that we invest in, but our own portfolios.
Yep.
We want stability in our portfolios. We want growth. That's what we're looking for. So if we want it in our portfolios, it should be in the underlying asset as well. But if you're trying to be speculative, go ahead. By all means, that's a different strategy, and hopefully that works out for you. But we're not those type of risk takers. We're very low risk, sensible, long-term approach.
Absolutely. So if people want to find out more about Teaminvest or they want to inquire about becoming a member, how do they do that?
Absolutely. Just head out to our website, teaminvest.com.au. All the information's there. You can email us admin@teaminvest.com.au.
Yeah.
Or ring in and we'll happily set up a time to have a chat and discuss your situation and what you would like to achieve.
Absolutely. Look, thank you so much, Sanji. And we will put all of those links that Sanji mentioned into our podcast notes. So you'll be able to go straight in, get in contact with us, link through. But thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Hopefully that was valuable and you have more of an understanding of Teaminvest and what we're about. Please make sure that if you have anybody in your circle of friends who you think would find this valuable, please share this, pass it on. We're happy to get in contact with anyone that you think this would be beneficial to. But thank you for joining us and we look forward to seeing you again next time. The information contained in this podcast is of a general nature and is not intended to address the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular individual or entity. It is provided for informational purposes only and does not constitute, nor should it be regarded in any manner whatsoever as advice. It is not intended to influence a person in making a decision. No one should act on such information without appropriate professional advice after a thorough examination of their particular situation and needs. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Teaminvest Wealth Builders. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and inspiring. If you know anyone else who could benefit from hearing this episode, please hit the share button and pass it on. If you'd like to learn more about Teaminvest or our unique investment approach, visit us at teaminvest.com.au. And please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more episodes. Until next time, stay informed, stay invested, and keep building wealth.